see you guys. All right. Hey, Don. All right, Don's here. Give Don a hand from Portland, Oregon. Now he's cringing because he's really not from Portland. I can never remember where he's from, so I just say Portland, Oregon.
Hood River.
Hood River. So Hood River. That's why I say Portland. Okay. Anyways, Hood River is. How far is Hood River from Portland?
1 important hour.
1 hour, 1 important hour, yes. So you may have seen all the hoodlums in downtown Portland. Don was the ringleader. All right. Well, it is great to be here. I got to the airport in Phoenix yesterday at about 3 in the afternoon, expecting to make my connecting flight, which I made at about midnight last night. So we had delayed. So I just got here a few hours ago. I'm a little delirious. Now you know why. So, but I just spent 7 extraordinary days in Austin, Texas with Tony Robbins and his wife Sage, and we got to do a platinum relationship event that he and his wife do once every 2 years. So they did it 2 years ago in Kona. We're supposed to be in Kona this year with the whole mask thing. We had to pivot to Austin. We were at the Omni. It was amazing. About 4,500 of us, and I would call it a life-changing, life-altering, like one of the most meaningful things I've ever done in my life. I could almost get emotional right now. I won't. But it was so good. You don't know what you don't know until you learn what you don't know. I just made that quote. That was pretty good. I was like, so I can just explain it. You don't know what you don't know until you learn what you didn't know. And you're like, oh, that's why it's all about, anybody have a relationship in their life? You're married, you have a significant other. It's like, why does she zig when I zag, or she, why do I, what did cause that? And so it was all about communication. It was amazing. So I spent hours at the airport transcribing. I took notes from my notes. So the first thing we're going to do here is I want to teach you this. If you listen to me today, you will retain 10% of what's said. If you will take notes, scribble it on the back of a napkin. So we're going to hand out, we have paperwork here. Who are these things? What are these? Who do we got? What is this? This is you.
Barry.
What is this? Barry. This is Barry Mathis. Does everybody have one of these? So I want you to turn it up. Thanks, Barry. He's both sides. I was so smart. I got something for you to write on. We're going to turn it over right now. Of course, Barry's utilizing both sides. Nice picture, Barry.
Thanks.
So give Barry a hand. It's not a beautiful picture. So here's what I want you to do. If you take notes on your phone, you can pretend like you're texting, but take notes on your phone, or borrow a piece of paper from someone. But I just want you to write down, even if you only write down a sentence or two, listen to me. Today's team meeting is not going to change your life. Next week's team meeting is not going to change your life. Going to our annual convention in November won't change your life. Going to church this Sunday or a men's Bible study this Wednesday won't change your life. But all of it put together makes you who you are. It's all your life experiences. It's the tapestry of your life. If you will take notes, your retention will go from 10% to 50 to 60%. There are other ways to get it to go higher. I won't go into it. But by simply taking notes, you go, oh, that was a good point. Jot it down. 50 to 60% more retention. Now, if we are the sum total of our life experiences, what if you got around people and you went to events and you were intentional about becoming who you are? Because everybody wants external changes. Who wants a nicer home? Who wants a car that isn't a religious car? Like, what's a religious car? Come on, you know what it is. You get in and you pray. Come on, start, baby. Come on, Jesus, do it one more time. And you pray. You say a prayer, and that means, how many of you need a new car if you have a religious car, right? I need a new car. Who would like to travel more? Who would like more money in the bank? Who would like to be debt-free? Those are all external results of what's going on internally. How many would agree with that?
Yes.
Someone who's just sitting there for 45 years taking tickets in a parking garage underground, 45 years. That's a result of what's going on internally. Tony Robbins' father took tickets in a parking garage for 45 years. Never left the underground. He went to work with him. There's something going on inside him. What the car you drove here today in, your beautiful home you live in, or the apartment you live in, and the trips you take to Fiji and Tahiti and to Paris and all over the world, are the ones you take to Fairfield. to Manteca, to like, I can't afford to, get out of town. So it's all about what's going on inside here. So like, I want to sell 50 homes a year. I want to make, $250,000 a year. I want to, wait, what are you doing to fix the inside? You're always like, teach me about lead generation. Teach me about how to present at a listing. Teach me. That's great. But if you haven't figured out the inside, the internal, the external is never going to work for you. Relationships and stuff. So, it was just so good. So let's get into it. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Today, normally we talk about listings. We talk about counter offers. We talk about, marketing plans. We talk about the market. We're going to get to that in the last 30 minutes. But is it okay if I just share with you some aha moments I had in the last 7 days?
Yeah.
Because it's a little crazy. And I love Tony Robbins because I'm a little crazy. We went, a low day was 14 hours one day. Yesterday, our final day, our 7th day, we started at 9 a.m. and we finished at 5 a.m. the next morning. It was 20 hours straight. That was just one of the 7 days. And you couldn't get enough of it. It was awesome. But you got to be a little mentally unstable. So I'm perfect. I loved it. I'm just kidding. But I'm a little crazy myself. But I'm desperate to change, desperate to grow, desperate to have more. No. Desperate to make a difference. Like, what motivates you? You know what? I go, man, I want you to have a great marriage. I want you to have a great life. What floats my boat is making a difference in your life, helping you realize who you are, who God made you to be. How about this one? This isn't in my notes, but I want you to write it down. You've heard me say it before, but half of you haven't. Self-loathing will not serve your family, your wife or your husband, or the world. It's hard to love people when you don't love yourself. Now, I'm not talking about a narcissistic love. I'm not talking about, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest? Look at how beautiful. I'm not talking about that kind of narcissistic love. I'm talking about you're okay in your own skin. You kind of own yourself. You're like, I'm quirky. I do goofy, dumb, silly things. You have the ability to laugh at yourself. You're able to be joyful, to be playful, to not take yourself too serious, but to also at times to be very serious. Serious is right. But you know me, I can be very serious. I can be very playful. But one thing I am is I'm forgiving. Now, another great quote, Zig Ziglar says this: if you will be hard on yourself, life will be infinitely easier on you. Now, that doesn't mean to like, you stupid idiot. Why? That's something kind of hard we're talking about. It's hard, like, I'm going to get up at 4:30 a.m. and I'm going to go work out. I'm going to go do my prayer life, or if people aren't into like God and that, meditation, whatever you want to, whatever word makes you feel more comfortable. And then I'm going to read things that are good for me. I'm going to watch things that are good for me. I'm going to get the podcast with some of the most successful people in the life. How many people watch you and say, man, you should write a book? You know, people say that too. People who've had extraordinary lives. I just rode here with Ryan. Ryan's from Denver. He flew out here. I always talk to people, go shadow, go find people who are successful and just hang out with them for a day or two. He flew here yesterday to hang out with me. Of course, I was delayed, wasn't able to get here. So he hung out at the office, but his story is amazing. I just learned that he fell 50, he was hand climbing and he got to the top of a mountain. He was alone and he's a paramedic and he couldn't go any further and he couldn't back up. And he stayed on the side of that wall until he started shaking so hard. And so hard, he finally just let go and he fell backwards 50 feet down a mountain. He knew he was going to die and he was at peace. And in the whole story was 6-hour mountaintop rescue. And I'm sorry, but I get emotional, but I'm just telling you, man, God has a call on each one of your lives. Whether you believe it or not, I believe it. And you were created to do amazing things, but here's the problem. You don't believe it. I believe it, but you got to believe it. You're a beautiful soul, an incredible person. You can make such a difference. One of the things he did, talked about dating, and he's about relationships. Some of you were single. There were some single people there. You want to have this relationship. And he said, for you women, when you're with a man, look at how he treats the waitress. Look at how he treats the hostess. Look at how he treats the person at the stand at Midas Muffler at Jiffy Lube. Look at how he treats other people that are referring to him. Does he treat them with disdain and disrespect and this? Or is he generous? Is he kind? Is he, look at that, and because that's the person you're marrying. Because with you, you'll be amazing. Oh, that's weird looking at you, but he'll be amazing. He'll be charming. And he talked about observe who your partner is, because how many of us put our best foot forward when we date? Yeah, I'm way off topic. all right, now. Anyway, so here's the deal. One of the things he wrote down that I found was fascinating. He said it for 7 straight days, is take 100% responsibility in everything. Be responsible. Take 100% responsibility for your life. Do not become a victim, become the victor. Take responsibility. Well, it wasn't my fault. You're being a victim. You're being a step up and go, I'm going to learn from this, you know? And so 100% responsibility. And he said this, he goes, how do you want to be happy? He says, here's happiness. It's not a destination. It's called progress. Write that down. Progress equals happiness. When you just start the diet, you're on day 2, day 3, you're excited. You have happiness. When I need to do a Bible study and you don't do it, you know, you're kind of, all of a sudden you start a women's Bible study, or maybe fitness routine, and you're going to run a triathlon. I should do it. And you don't do it. All of a sudden you start doing it, you start training your friends. And there's the happiness, the joy comes from progress. When you make progress, you begin to have joy. How many agree with that? And you make it like my progress I just made in my marriage last 7 days. I'm flipping euphoric. I learned so much and it was so worth it. How you want your business to grow. You spend money on real estate events, right? You spend money on coaching, right? You buy a book, you do this, and you invest money. So how much money have you spent on you? Right? That's all external. What about you? What about really putting you together to where you can be the lover? You can be the person who, I learned 35 years ago from a guy named Skip Ross. And one of the things he said, and this may sound narcissistic, but he says, I just adopted the attitude, everybody loves me, and people try to cut somebody off and they're like, and they're flipping you off. And it's like, oh, you must know me. Hey, how are you? And just smiling and everybody loves me. And I realize not everybody loves you. And I know everybody doesn't love me, but I love everybody. It's my job to love. Now it's their choice whether they receive my love. If they want to be offended by me or something and hold it against me, that's on them. If I did something wrong, I certainly need to repent and ask for forgiveness and do the right thing. I'm going to make mistakes. You are going to make mistakes. Make no mistake, but it's going to happen. How about this one? I wrote this down. Richard the Lionheart. Is that right? You guys all heard of Richard the Lionheart, or the King of England? They called him the Lionheart for being brave. How about you? Is it Steve the Lionheart? Is it Rodney the Lionheart? James the Lionheart? Brent the Lionheart? Valerie the Lionheart? Are you brave? Are you courageous? Are you standing up for what's right in life? Standing up for orphans and widows and people who can't? Are you standing up? Or do people call you Barry the freaking Lionheart? I want to be Brent the Lionheart. I want to be Tom Costello the Lionheart. So you got to decide who you're going to be. How about this one? If I can remember. You are not the manager of your circumstances. You are the designer of your life. You are the creator of your life. Oh, I got this going on. I got this going on. I got to manage this, man. I'm a manager. No, man, listen to me. You are the designer. You are the creator of your life. And that means if you don't like what's going on right now, you have the power to change it. The reason you won't change it is you believe you're powerless. And that's a victim mentality. You are powerful. You're not God. There's one God, but you were made in his image, in my opinion. If you don't believe that, then believe whatever makes you feel good. But for me, I do that. And you are here to love other people. Who do we love? Like when you walked in this room, did you lift the room? Or did you come in and go, we have 6, 7, 8 guests here today. You're like, who are these people? You're kind of watching. I know, my guests. But it's like when you came into the room, did you come to add to the room? Are you a room lifter? Like every room, like your family room. When you come into the house, the family goes, oh my God, Dad's home. Mom's home. Kids, bedroom door shut. Like, oh, Dad's home. He's had a rough day. Are you bringing your family the leftovers? Who are you? Decide who you're going to be. And then be intentional about your surroundings, intentional about who you are. I'm going to pay to do something. And I wrote years ago, I'm personal friends with Tony Robbins. I'm about to join this thing called Lions, and I'll be hanging out at Tony's house in West Palm Beach twice a year. He does small, intimate weekends. And I said it, and now I am. And I have, I remember one of them, some other people who I've gotten to be around who I said, here is my peer group. In other words, write this down. Be intentional about your peer group. Because the people you hang out with, you know what they say? I had some people, my wife and I were having a hard time 10 years ago. They said, you know what, forget it, there's other fish in the sea. You deserve better than that. You know what I say to people who are struggling? I say, fight through it. Go own your part. But my wife, it's not about your wife, Mike. It's about you. It's about you. You can't change your wife. Write this down. I cannot change other people with their responses, but you can change yours. Why freak out and stress out about what your wife or your husband is or is not doing? But she's not, that's a victim. But he's not, you're a victim. What can you do? How about you blow your wife's mind? You serve her, you love her, you stand strong, you listen with empathy. You don't go, you shouldn't feel that way, that's weak. And that's what I used to do with my wife. I'll be honest with you, what I learned, I get very emotional right now. Sorry. Inside I would go, that's weak. Come on, man, be strong, stand up, you're being weak. And I never said that to her. You think I said that to my wife? But I put a post-it on her, weak, pathetic. You know, I did, I looked at her and I started, I'm Zig Ziglar, Mr. Positive, this and that, and I am that kind of person. But with my own wife, I looked at how she didn't do that right, or didn't do that right. Man, how many of you think you are perfect? Right? Now, if your wife or your husband or your significant other looks at you and starts nitpicking, he doesn't do that right. What was it like when you met? Oh, I met. She was amazing. He was incredible. And all of a sudden, all that wears off, and you start seeing every little things. All of a sudden, you start putting post-it notes. Does this wrong? Does that wrong? This wrong? That wrong? That wrong? That. And I covered my wife in post-it notes with what I didn't like about her. But I said, I'm a man. We've been married 30 years. I'm going to be faithful. I'm going to be loyal. I'm going to love her. You know what? That's just the way it is. She's not perfect. I'm not perfect either. And in that, I settled. I settled for a good marriage. But see, I just spent $20,000 on that event because I don't want a good marriage. I want a freaking outrageous, incredible, unbelieving, mind-blowing marriage. That's what I want. I'm going for it. I'm going for it. So what do you want? I am the creator of my life. Now get it, God, because there's in control of my life. But also we get to decide, am I going to be an architect? I'm going to do this, that. Am I going to eat too much? Am I going to run marathons? God gives you the ability of choice. To spend time with him or not, or to love people or not, or we respond badly. Write this down. Respond well. Mm-hmm. Your job in life is to respond well. When all hell breaks, what is the leader? When World War II is happening and people are freaking out, Winston Churchill's like, we freaking got this. One man. And he convinced England to hang in there and keep fighting. One man responded well. All Parliament responded badly. And they said Winston Churchill single-handedly, one man, was able to convince the rest of Parliament to hang in there. And fortunately, out of our pain of Pearl Harbor and the Japanese bombing, they woke the sleeping giant, the United States of freaking America, and we got involved in the war. We're like, no, this isn't happening. It's not happening. It's not happening. U.S. wanted nothing to do. It's not our war, man. We're over here, poor Europe. I mean, you know, Hitler's blitzkrieging the world. But guess what? Out of your pain, what you are saying, God, take this from me. You're even questioning the existence of God right now. He's using that pain to mold and shape you, making an amazing human being. What you want him to take away, when you're at the gym, what builds muscles? Resistance. When you're on a sailboat, what makes it go? Wind. Some of you have wind. You have storm. I want you to lean into it. Step up. Put your chest out. Step up, man. I got this. God's using this to develop me. So you could be some mega demigod. No, so you could be an incredible, loving, amazing human being like Mother Teresa, who scooped up dead people and loved them. Like Winston Churchill. Martin Luther King in the 60s. Civil rights. Martin Luther King, he had to step up and say, I see little black boys and little white boys playing together on yards and loving. You didn't say that stuff in the 60s. It took courage, man. I want to be that. Rosa Parks, I'm not going to the back of the bus. This is wrong. I'm not going to do it. I mean, I don't want to get my looked by a group of people. That's what happened back then. And she stood up for the right thing. We got to become that person, but it doesn't happen on accident. So let me ask you, what podcasts are you listening to from people who talk like this? Who says, don't be a victim, be a victor. There's lots of them out there. It's the stuff I listen to. What books are you reading? My son. Because I stepped up, I could put my son in a private academy. All high school is all about owning businesses and self-government and self-responsibility. And you write a business plan, you speak in front of the entire school, and you become an entrepreneur. That's what my son's high school is. And he's reading right now a book called Tribal Leadership. And it's all about building and building teams and groups and stuff. He's like, my 17-year-old son's like, Dad, this is amazing. You, Dylan, and I got to read this book on tribal. I bought 10 of them. Can you go get the book out of the office? Is Rob here? Thank you, James. Give James a hand. Thank you, James. So the second I hear this from my son, I'm all about it. I got me a book. I got Dylan, my older son, my 26-year-old, a book. By the way, he just won an award. He works for an international company. They went to Palm Springs. He just voted by his peers. He won the award for having the most integrity at that company. I'm very proud of that. But you see, this stuff doesn't happen on accident. What are you reading with your kids? Who is your chosen peer group? I really chose my peer group. How's that working out for you? You can't just choose a peer. You can't say, I'm going to become friends with Tony Robbins. I'm going to become friends with someone I respect. Who's the woman who owns It's Cosmetics?
Jenna.
Stand up, stand up, stand up. Beautiful. You're so beautiful. So I've heard that woman speak, and I'm blanking her name. She's an amazing woman. How about saying, I'm going to become friends with someone you respect? Condoleezza Rice, amazing woman. You know, and so you could choose your peer group, but you don't believe you could choose your peer group. And then all of a sudden you think the way you think, the people you hang out with affect how you think. You don't believe that? Let your 13-year-old or your 15-year-old go hang out with a group of teenagers that are really like into huffing. You guys know what huffing is? Mm-hmm. That's where you turn upside down and you huff aerosol cans to get high, or sniffing glue, or doing drugs. Is that what you want for your kids? No, we care about, it doesn't change for you. Anyways, oh my gosh.
Jamie Kern-Lima.
Jamie Kern-Lima. And so you hear speaker, I respect that woman. She's incredible. I may add her to my chosen peer group list. I'm gonna become friends with. I mean, you just start going. I'll go to things she speaks at. I'll get to know her all. Are you guys with me?
Yes.
Tribal leadership, leveraging natural groups to build thriving organizations right here. This is an amazing book. Who wants a good book to help change your life right now? Tom, I saw Tom's hand first. All right, so, but here's the deal. Buy books, read books, grow, invest in yourself. So let's see. Walt Disney went to 127 banks before somebody said yes. I'm gonna build a theme park. Can I borrow some money? Who wants to lend your money to some guy who's gonna build a theme park out here in Gridley? It's gonna be huge. People come from all over the world. My mascot's a mouse. 127 banks said no. And you're like, well, I talked to 30 agents and they don't want to leave lines or since you're 21, right? I want to try to get 20 or 30. 127 banks he applied, turned down. 128 banks said yes. How about this one? Colonel Sanders. Hundreds of no's. He was in his 60s. I'm too old. I missed it. I'm not in my 20s or 30s. He was in his 60s. Hundreds of no's until someone finally said, I believe in your recipe. And that guy in the white suit created Colonel Sanders Kentucky Fried Chicken from Kentucky. And he's a famous legend.
Thank you.
McDonald's, the whole thing. Yeah. Yeah. People are grateful. He has changed people's lives. Okay. Who knows who Mel Fisher is? For 16 years, he thought he could find a ship that had wrecked off the coast of Florida. And after 16 years of borrowing money, and he had a fleet of ships and radar, and they combed the ocean floor month after month, year after year, years and years and years, a decade went by. Nothing. And he's begging for more money, this and that. His own son-in-law died when one of the boats capsized, and see, but he found it 16 years later, he found it. The Anatocha, look it up. It was like $1.5 billion worth of gold and silver trinkets. It was the biggest Spanish ship of its time, carrying the treasure of Spain, the king and queen of Spain. It crashed in a hurricane off the coast of Florida, and he was, I could find it, and he found it. Wow. From zero to hero overnight. but it wasn't. It was 16 years in the making. Look him up. Go Google it. Mel Fisher, the Anatocha or Tosha. I'm not sure, but he's got gold chains and all this. People thought he was crazy. People will call you crazy until they call you for advice. Right? Mrs. Fields Cookies. She got so desperate, she's begging people at lunchtime just to have free cookies in my shops back there. And today we all know Mrs. Fields Cookies, but she tells a story. It was so bad one day, she just put cookies on a plate, just walking out on a little store. Here, have a cookie. They're good. My office is back there. And my bakery, it's called Mrs. Fields. And then how'd she do? So you're thinking, well, I don't have to struggle like Brent. I struggled my whole life. I was 51 when I found EXP. I became self-employed when I was 19. Do the math. That is 32 years. Well, come on, you were successful. I'd make 4, 5, 6, 700,000 a year, but I was grinding and struggling for all that time, and I was ready. I was ready. Are you ready? You don't have to wait till you're 51. You can be ready at 21, 31, or you can, are you with me? Who's with me?
Yes.
All right, so on the home stretch here. By the way, I have 15 pages of notes. I've gotten to 6 sentences. So I wrote down Abraham Lincoln failed at every office he ever ran for until he won the presidency of the United States. Went bankrupt twice, divorced twice, failed businesses, but it made him wise old age. He had wisdom from his failure, from his pain. What you think is horrible, God, take this from me. He's using to shape you and mold you and give you character and perseverance. You can own yourself, man. Not I'm the biggest, but I own who I am. I'm okay. I'm at peace with who God made me to be. I think every one of you are amazing. I think you're incredible. But you got to believe it. You're beautiful, but you got to believe it. Not like, are you with me? You know what I'm saying here, right?
Yeah.
And you got to bring that out of people. You're a leader. God's called you to love people. Mother Teresa, the Wright brothers, we're going to build something and fly around the thing in it, right? I mean, that sounds normal now, but when people weren't flying, you're going to build some structure that'll take you off the ground. You're going to fly around. What do you think people thought of the Wright brothers? Henry Ford, they tried to lock him up. The guy who invented the automobile, it changed the world. He's scaring the horses, horse and buggies. Henry Ford, it backfires. Chitty, chitty, bang, bang. Right? Like that. Boom, boom. Scaring the horses. 700,000 people drove horse and buggy. What will they do? Fear. Well, they're going to work in the automobile industry, and the world's going to change. Thomas Edison, over 1,000 failed attempts at creating the filament for the light bulb. Man, everyone you think of, they're all massive failures. The key to success is failure. You don't want to fail, but don't be ashamed of it. I always tell people, I'm up here because I failed more than all of you. All I am is a celebrated failure. I failed so passionately, so hard that I learned what worked along the way. But if you do so little, if you snow ski once a year, you're always going to suck. If you play golf once every 2 years, or even once every 2 or 3 months, you're just not going to be good. But if you golf every day, snow ski every day, you work on your marriage, your relationship with God, your prayer life, your body, your physical fitness, whatever it is, if you do it and you go for it, man, things are going to change. We'll wrap up with this. I literally got to 6 sentences and I have 15 pages. I was going to give you all 15 pages this morning, but it didn't work. So here's the deal. I have a doctor's appointment in 10 minutes, just a normal checkup, so I got to go. But I will say this, and half of you heard me say this, but I need you to understand it. What's the biggest room in the world? The room for improvement. The reason you can have a new life is you are not stuck being you. I just pray to God that you believe that. You can grow. You can change. Like, I don't know. Is that what you tell your 15-year-old daughter? Your 13-year-old son? Yep, you suck. You'll never be good. But Dad, I'm struggling. It's hard. Yep, you're going to struggle. Life sucks, and then you die. What do you say to your son, your daughter? No, you're going to have a great life. I know this girl broke up with you and she broke your heart, but there'll be others. I remember at 19 when my girlfriend broke up with me. And I cried every day for half a year. Aren't you a man? Yeah, I'm a man. Hell yeah, I'm a man. But I'm also in touch with my heart, and it hurt me. And it made me question life, the meaning of life. And in that is where my question, where I kind of connected with God, because I'm like, whoa, what happened here? And I started looking for God. And someone like, well, I'm not into the God thing. Cool, no problem. But if you are interested in God and connecting in that higher power and having peace at a kind of a level maybe you've never experienced, I would just give you one recommendation. pray and ask God to reveal himself to you. That's all you got to do. If he's not there and he's fake, nothing will happen. What do you have to lose? But if you sincerely pray, God, I want this joy, this peace that Brent Gove talks about. I want that. Simple thing. Just pray and ask him to reveal himself to you. And either he will or he won't. He did to me. It's been amazing. Does that mean, man, you got that, you're done? I'm the biggest? No. I'm still learning and growing at 55. I'll be a different person at 65 and 75 and 95, hopefully. Right? Anyways, was this good? Was this
Yeah.
good? Hand this back over to John. John, you're in charge. Thank you. Love you all. Thanks. See you guys.
All right. Well, I get the honor of following that. Man, it's like a tornado. Yeah. Hey, yeah. All right. I'm gonna see if James, would it be possible to get pictures of his 15 pages of notes?
Yes.
And then we can post those on Facebook. That's probably better. That's probably better. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to transcribe the notes and we'll fill them up on the Facebook page. So that way you can see more than just 6 sentences. Real quick, we're doing this meeting in reverse. So how we typically start, I knew Brent was short on time, is tell me something good. So tell me something good. Brent just jazzed us up, gave us a lot of information, a lot of things to be grateful about, a lot of things to think about. Who's had some wins in business? New leads, new closings, new clients? Tom, you?
I passed my test. I'm excited for that to be over.
Now time for you to get to work. Yeah, congratulations. Tom?
So just got into escrow on a property in McKinley Park that was a really hot listing and he needed someone to sit the open house. It was right in the week that we were having my father's memorial service. So it's kind of all over the place, just distracted by personal stuff. Did the open house during the week, which for some of you who haven't done it during the week, highly recommend it. I've never done it. In LA, we don't do open houses during the week because we're cool. Anyway, big mindset shift. So did the open house on a Thursday. Dad's memorial service was on Friday. Did it Saturday, Sunday, and then again on Tuesday. Had literally 12 to 15 people every day. So a ton of leads, about 60 leads from it. And I found the buyer. Nice. So if you set an open house, you guys know that you rarely find the buyer in an open house. It just, doesn't happen. And it happens. So we're in escrow now. Supposed to remove contingency the next couple of days. So things will happen.
By the way, just according to the National Association of Realtors, the conversion rate for your average agent, and this is averages here, is 12% on open houses. So what that means is you have to do 8 before you can reasonably expect to get a buyer out of it. So if you do 1 open house a week, that's 2 months of you doing open houses. If you do 3 in a day or 3 in a weekend, all of a sudden you're generating more business faster. Yeah. So just keep that in mind, 12%. Alicia?
I just wanted to brag on Monty Roberts. I know last week you talked about you got a lead from a video he did. You're officially in contract on that lead.
Boom.
With the down payment assistance and FHA, he got a $6,500 closing cost credit from the seller.
Nice.
So he's a badass.
Wow.
Congratulations. Big round of applause for Monty. All right. Well, hey, if you have something good, feel free to pop it in on one more. We got one more. Mariah?
Oh, I'm in my very first escrow and everything is going splendid.
Congratulations. The escrow. Where'd it come from, the lead source?
Open house.
There you go. Okay, we're seeing a theme. So open houses are back.
Tracy has one to add too.
Come on, let's hear it.
I closed my first deal.
Yeah!
Can you share, Tracy, where you got that lead from?
My second open house.
Okay, so open houses work. Open houses are working. Today's the week for open houses, so go out and get one. All right.
Say something else that works.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is also the best time of the year to do pop-bys, you guys, and I want to give credit to Brenda because she just got her first listing appointment from a pop-by that she did. So pop-by.
Do you have any pop-by ideas for
Oh
this
God,
time of
it's
year?
Halloween, it's so easy. We're feeling bad.
One that I
Well,
candy.
yeah.
Bags of candy?
Yeah, there's like one that's Mariah's right there. So candies and toys and
So
goodies and
Cindy,
glow sticks.
when you pop by, it's obviously a surprise. You don't say, hey, I'm coming. You just pop by. What do you say? Knock, knock, surprise.
You don't even knock on the door. You just leave it on the porch and well, for like mine, I have signs that go in their yard that says you've been moved by your realtor. So I can
Really?
move it overboard, but literally every single person that I've given a pop by to in the past week, every single one of them has called me.
Yeah.
And last year I did 50 of them. I got six deals from it. So if you guys are not doing it, you're missing
You
out.
don't say a word. You just leave
No.
with something.
With COVID, it's just better to live, if that's a great thing, it's COVID friendly. You just leave it on the porch and when they get home, they're surprised and everyone will call you that night and just so thankful.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Great idea.
Yep. So if you have past closings, drop them by your past clients. If you don't have closings, bring them by to friends, family, and yeah, super fun. Moved by the realtor.
Probably if you know somebody that does DoorDash or if you know somebody that does Uber, hire them to go do them for you.
Oh,
You
wow.
can pay them more than they'll make DoorDash in that day. You just hire them to go put them all out because you don't need to knock on the door.
Yeah, I don't put mine out.
I couldn't see
I want to
you.
give credit to everyone who puts them up for me because I don't even do my own.
There you go. You got a system though. You got a system.
Thank you,
Eat your
Robert.
candy. It's, Uber drivers, very in integrity.
All right. So we do have some upcoming events. We got 2 events I wanted to highlight. One was, we see it. Let me make sure everybody's getting. Jenna, she's double ending a new listing in Roseville with a buyer who came from an open house. Fully qualified buyer. A lot of good news. Who says it slows down in the fall, right? That's just a flat out lie. So real quick, let me share the screen. Don't forget to register if you haven't already for the business planning clinic. We have Bill Pipes coming. He is the #1 Tom Ferry coach, costs 25 grand an hour. We have him for 3 full hours. This event costs a lot of money though. It's free, okay? It all costs your time. So just go down to PCAR, register today. If you don't do it today, you'll hear me reminding you next week and that crap, I didn't register and it sold out. So please register today. The other thing that we have, Barry, you want to share what all these flyers are for?
Yeah, the backside is just actually to give you an update. If you talk to a commercial agent, that's what commercial agents do for the HP. And then on the front side is an event coming up at Sacramento Association of Realtors. That's down near Arden and Howe. If you get a chance to come out to that, I'd love to have you there. And this is how to learn how to talk to investors. So it's going to be a quick overview of an 8-hour class that I teach, but it's just going to be a short overview of it. Come on out, lunch and learn kind of thing.
Great. And I would highly recommend you take Barry's class or take a class like it because sellers right now, they want options. They want to know, hey, well, Zillow says my house is worth this much. Oh, Open Door is going to pay me X amount of dollars on this. Like, do you have an opportunity or do you have an option like that with your brokerage? They want to hear that they have options. They probably won't go with it, but if you tell them, no, I can't do that, or no, we don't do that, they're going to go to somebody else. So you have to be able to speak the language and understand how the numbers work. So that way you can present them with a cash offer. Because there are a lot of companies out there that are realtor friendly. And so as long as you understand how to do it, like after taking Barry's class, you will. Then now when you go on that listing appointment or you're talking to somebody, or when you're doing a pop by and they come out and go, what are you doing on my front door? You're like, hey, I'm just here to be friendly. By the way, you thought about selling your house? They're like, yeah, I want to sell it cash. I don't want anybody in it because of COVID, right? Well, we offer that. We can actually help you with that. So that if you're not working with investors, don't let that stop you. There's a lot of good information in having that skill set. Okay. So those are the 2 events we have coming up: Barry's and business planning, lender update. Miss Alicia, I saw you posted on Facebook.
Yay, okay, so because of what he was just saying, I want to go ahead and get you guys to write something down, but really quick first, I want to share a quick story. So going with what Brent said, when a storm is coming, you guys, cattle or cows, they try to run away from it. So they turn away from the storm and they head this direction. The storm is coming. It lengthens the time that they're dealing with the storm because the storm is just following them right over their heads, going over them. A buffalo turns into the storm and heads straight for it. So then the storm quickly passes over. So keep that in mind. Lending for a lot of you guys is a storm. It's a different language. You don't understand it. So after he was saying you retain more when you write it down, please write this down. Going with Barry's class, there's a loan program out there. Don't ask me what this stands for, but it is called DSCR. I just know what it does and I know the rules.
Debt service coverage ratio.
Woo! Leave it up to Barry. He knows. So We have this program and the investor can literally put 20% down. We will lend them 80% of the value of the home, okay? And that's high for this type of a program. We can do it with as little as a 640 credit score. So that's a pretty low credit score, okay? We count 100% of the rent, either current rent or projected rent. The way that we verify the rent is if there's a current tenant, we get proof of 3 months history of that tenant's payments. If there isn't a current tenant, we can order what's called a rent survey. It's like $110, and that does the rent for the local area and gives us a report saying this is the going rent. So we will count 100% of that. Now, to determine how much mortgage you can get, they take the rent. So as an example, let's use $2,500 in rent. They divide it by 0.75. That comes to $3,333 worth of mortgage payment, including taxes, insurance, and everything. So the rent isn't even covering the house payment. Now, why is this important? No income is needed to qualify. We don't care about their tax returns. We don't care about their income. We are not looking at their income. We are purely lending on the going rent. How flipping cool is that?
Incredible.
Now, the first question Johnny asked me yesterday, well, what are the reserves? Because that's a big hurdle for a lot of people. They don't have any money. You can do this with as low as 3 months reserves. What's a reserve? 3 months of the house payment in your bank account, so $9 grand. We require them to have $9 grand in savings after they put the 20% down. If you want the rate to go down, you can do 12 months in savings. Now your rate went down. So this program is available with as low as a 4% rate on an investor property. That's like practically a conforming rate. That's a phenomenal rate. 4 to 5%. The 5% is going to be more if you only have 3 months of savings. The 4% interest rate is if you have a full year's worth of the house payment. So it's a phenomenal program. This is something you guys would want to do a video on. I went ahead and I posted the bullet points on the Brent Gove site, Facebook site, so you guys can kind of just take that. I am going to do a social media class next week. I believe it's on Thursday. I've already done it for Cindy's team. A ton of her team members have been doing videos. It's been amazing. And the videos work. You get leads and you close deals. So don't be too shy to do those. I really quickly will hit on lot loans. I've been asked about that a few different times this week. So for lot loans, we can do that. Vacant lot is okay. Vacant land is okay, completely non-developed. No max acreage. That's rare. So I don't care if it's 100 acres, we'll do it. The minimum loan's 100 grand. The minimum purchase price is 150 grand. Minimum credit score is 660, but they'll go only off of TransUnion. So they'll literally ignore the other two, and whatever TransUnion is, they'll go off that. 20-year maximum term, 15 years is a lower rate, $650,000 loan. That has a rate in the 8s. So it's a little bit of a higher rate, but hey, you know, your clients can get land, their land. That's everybody's dream. They want to build their dream house. You guys,
LTV.
that one is 65%, 65%. So it's a good chunk down, 45% down. Any questions for me?
When you were talking about the money that has to be in reserve, can you use an investment account for the reserve, or does it have to be in a bank account?
Oh, it could be stocks, retirements, checking account, you know, anything that's you can liquidate. So in a retirement account, guys, how it works is the banks will tend to let you use about 60 to 70%. Because if you were to withdraw it, you're going to have penalties. So 60% of retirement accounts. But yes, stocks and all that is qualified. Awesome. Very cool.
Great
Thank you guys
question.
so much.
All right, thanks, Alicia. Give Alicia a round of applause. All right, Realtor update. Let's go around the room from anybody. What are you seeing out there? We will start with Cindy.
We are seeing, I continue to see the market strong. However, Ryan just came out with the stats. The average listing right now is only getting 1 to 5% over asking price. So you need to be educating your sellers. They are not going to be getting 50,000 over asking price. This is what it is, and they need to be happy. You know, I just listed one at 499, got 515. but he was prepared for it. So he was happy with the 515. I said, remember years ago when this time of the year, we got to go back to it. So I continue to see, there's still a lot of buyers out there. I think, the feds did mention that they were going to raise rates next year. So people really want to get in this year. Remember also a lot of people want to sell this year. They need the tax write-off this year. So people who say we're going to wait till next year, that's not a smart idea. You need to put the pressure on those buyers and sellers. They really should start moving.
It's in
now.
their best interest. Mike, tell we all don't know who you are. How many houses have you sold this year?
We're in line for 123. So with listings and stuff like that, and I agree with you when you're talking about that, there's still, they're still paying over asking. However, it's about pricing. So I tend to price mine like 3 to 5% below market. So whatever, your comparables are, I price it below. So just say, for instance, I have a listing in North Highlands. I price it 3 to 5% below, but I got 25 over asking.
Nice.
So then I cover that. So I mean, it's all about pricing, guys, because there's still people out there looking, but they want a deal. So they think they can get a deal. Because, they're so inundated the last couple of months. And like, no, I can never buy. But now they're seeing, oh yeah, this one went down in price, but technically you're still getting multiple offers. So, I mean, that's how we're doing our pricing strategy. We're still getting, 10 to 15% over asking.
Even the ones we just did, one Alicia and I, 50,000 over asking, and it didn't appraise. I mean, went 45,000 over asking, it was close enough. But even on the higher ends, we still are going 50,000, but they're not appraising for them.
Cindy, where did you price that?
That was actually, I represented the buyer. That was a horse property in Roseville. That was $799. And we went
And you guys
850
went-
and it appraised for 845.
So was it your first offer that went that high? You offered that much over?
No, we came in at, well, the first offer we did was 815, and then there was a cash offer at 850. So we came in at 850 contingent, and we beat out the cash offer because I knew the other agent on that listing side.
Nice.
Mhm.
Good job.
Yes.
Barry, what are you seeing?
I just wanted to speak to that appraisal thing. I mean, it's almost mathematically impossible for a house to appraise for what you can sell it for. So you need to understand that and talk your clients through that appraisal gap conversation, because if you think about this, the comps are coming from homes that were sold 2 to 3 months ago, that were priced 2 to 3 months ago, right? And the market is moving up at 1.5% to 2% per month. So that means that automatically you're 3 to 5% off that price that you're going to settle that house for.
Mhm.
So on the comp, so you just got to be prepared for that conversation. A couple of quick trivia tips if it helps your conversations. One, from this week's trivia from Barry, right? So 93% of homeowners that are in forbearance have 10% or more in equity. There is not going to be a foreclosure wave coming. If you have 10% or more in equity and you need to sell your house quickly, you just sell your house.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. Okay. Another interesting statistic is 30% of the people who have 40% of equity still lose their home to foreclosure. Why? Because agents aren't ringing their phones, right? Stay busy talking to those people. They put their heads in the sand. Yep. And here's a fun one. Prices, homes over $1 million represent about 12% of the South Placer County market closing. 12%. Those homes that offered a 3% listing sold for 20% more than the homes that offered less than 2.5%. I'm sorry, they sold 20% faster than the homes that offered less than 2.5%. So the next time your client's trying to have that conversation about the buyer side commission, then you can tell them that you've got proven stats that will show that that is not get the job done.
Can you post those on the Facebook page?
$300 an hour again.
Can Crystal post it? Can Crystal post it?
Yeah, Crystal could post them. Yeah.
All right. The only stat that I wanted to share is that if you go on, the MLS, and look at Hot Sheets Mindset for all of Metro list, and it shows that within the last 24 hours, 1,000 homes came on the market, and within the last 24 hours, there were 250 price reductions. So just because you list it doesn't mean it's going to sell at that price. And so when you're in the living room, you're speaking with sellers, let them know that this is the market they're in. It's still an incredible seller's market, but they have to be realistic on price, or they're going to be doing the price reduction. And that's the opposite of what Mike's describing. Because if you do a price reduction, you have one offer, you're beholden to that one offer. But if you price correctly, or maybe a little bit aggressively, and you have 5, 10, 15 offers, all of a sudden your seller's in the driver's seat. So 25% or more price reductions.
Just a thought on Cindy's point and Barry's point regarding that we are not so in the crazy sales market in June and July where we're having 50,000 over asking and 10 or 12 offers. We're kind of slowing down. We're seeing 2 to 3, 4 offers over asking and maybe 10, 15, 20,000. If you're representing the seller, obviously you set their expectation. If you're representing the buyer, they're looking at you as Mr. Expert. Tell me how much we should offer because I don't want to pay too much, yet I want to get the house. And as Barry so wisely said, our job as the buyer's agent is to get them the house, get them into escrow, whatever we need to do. And then once we get them into escrow, then of course we put on the detective hat with the investigations and inspections. However, when they're looking at you, how much should I offer? We were just the one I just got into escrow with. Was that offered at $650 was the asking price. We offered $660. Counter came back at $675. My buyers are gonna go, what the hell? Like, okay, I thought genius. You told me to offer $660. Now they want even more. So I'm going with her around the comps around the area, and they're all $1 million homes around McKinley. We're in that 660. So I'm trying to talk to her, and she's like, no, there's no problem. I said, look, there's no way that you're going to overpay because we have our appraisal contingency in place.
Yep.
So worst case scenario, the appraisal comes back, they're not going to loan more than what the property's worth. So you can instill confidence in your buyer that they're not going to overpay. As it turns out, we stayed at 60, offered them the lesser things on their counter, and we got into escrow. Appraisal came back at 665. So she's walking into $5,000 in equity. So that gives your buyer confidence, right?
Yeah.
They're either going to be protected on the upside by the appraisal, or they're going to walk into equity instantly. It's a win either way. So use that as ammunition when you talk to your buyers.
Beautiful. Thank you. All right. So Brent mentioned a couple of things. He's like, what are you listening to? What are you filling your head with? Right. And there's tons of books. There's tons of resources out there. But I wanted to share a couple of things that I found useful recently. Like these are like, Valerie gets mad when I share these things because she's like, this is the gold, Johnny. Save it for our team. Right? So I'm gonna so just keep that in mind. This is legit, but you have to listen to it. You have to, take action on this. So CEO Secrets, it's a podcast. It's all about real estate. CEO Secrets. This is all free, by the way. If you go to YouTube, look up Real Geeks. Real Geeks is a CRM, but they do a fantastic show where they're interviewing people that are selling 100, 200, 500 houses a year. Brand new agents.
These are all podcasts.
Real Geeks is on YouTube.
And CEO Secrets is also
Is a podcast. And this last one is called is a podcast, and it's called The Listing Show. It's with Frank Klesnitz and Chris Waters. Again, it's free. Sometimes they interview people here locally from Sacramento too, so it's kind of fun to see.
It's a listing show podcast.
It is, yeah. So if you wanted to find a podcast, you can just go in your browser and search any of those titles, and it'll come up. Or you can go on your favorite thing like Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music, that, and just type it in, and it'll pop up. For those of you who are
What
not.
was the first one you said again?
CEO Secrets. I'm not a big podcast person either. These are the only ones I listen to. I normally read books. A couple more things I wanted to share with you is we're often taught to put out newsletters, right? Or do lots of stay in contact with clients via email. And what was recently brought to my attention is that sometimes you're using your name, your domain, ours is madeformore.us. So madeformore.us is the URL. The URLs can get blacklisted if you're sending it out too much, or if it's been flagged as spam too many times. So what that means to you is if your URL has been blacklisted, you're sending emails and people aren't getting them, and you don't know that. So a good way to check if you are sending out newsletters is 1, use a different domain for your newsletters, and 2, check that domain. It's free. You can check it at sendscore.org. That's sendscore.org. And then another awesome tool. This one is not for free, but it's incredibly cheap. It's like half a penny to check an email. But if you have a list of people and you want to start doing newsletters, as many in the room have expressed interest in doing, go to neverbounce.com. You can upload your list on neverbounce.com, and it will actually scrub it for you. Because if you send a newsletter out and it's not deliverable, or it's getting flagged as spam, or it's just a bad email address in general, like somebody entered in something fake on Facebook or one of your lead sources, then that lowers the deliverability rate of your URL and kind of get you flagged as spam, and then all of a sudden your emails aren't going to anybody. So sendscore.org and neverbounce.com. So that's my tech tips for
So
today.
forgive me, the difference is, neverbounce.com, you can test to see if.
It scrubs the
you've gotten
emails. It's-
Are fake.
Yeah, it scrubs the emails for you.
Okay, and then the sendscore.com is to see if your emails are being delivered.
Yeah, you have, just making sure you haven't been blacklisted. Yeah. Yeah. All right, any questions on that? All right, guys. Well, hey, it's 11:02. Have a fantastic week. Please put the chairs back.
I have a quick question.
Okay, all right.
You're always informed.
Not always, but.
I just signed up a card for a ethics class and it's taken, and it implied that you have a certain amount of time to complete this course, or your license could be, your license could be jeopardized. You know anything about that?
Yeah.
You
Who?
guys know that?
Yeah, I just took the, had to retake the course. and I just
It's
got
part of your
knocked out.
continuing education.
It's online.
Yeah, it's free.
It's online too?
Yeah, yeah, it's online, super easy to access.
Yeah.
And it's all like. self-paced. Just do it.
So I don't have to go to P-Card?
No.
I'll talk to you.
Yeah. Wait, Mariah, real quick, where do you go? For those of you who need to do your ethics training, I think you can do it on CAR, I believe, but Mariah, where did you get it done?
Well, I just got it done when I had to renew my license, but if you do go onto CAR,
Yeah.
then it all should be on there. And if you do have to get your ethics training done, you should have received an email from CAR. But double check, just to be sure, so your license isn't going active.
Yeah, that would suck.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a fantastic week. Bye, everyone.
Scott, I got something real quick.
All right.
Hey, everybody, my name's Paul. I have a company called Marvel Audio. If you have any issues, have you ever ran into trying to sell a home where you have some audio visual equipment that just doesn't work? Like clients look at speakers or, electronics and they're like, does this work? And you don't know if it works. So basically you can reach out to me so I can get it up to show level, not 110% of what they really want, but just enough so that they can have that feature in their house. Because a lot of my clients, they move into houses and they ask me, does this speaker work? It's more appeasing. So John has my contact information and I can help you in that regard.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. All right.
Yeah, so Facebook works.
Bye, J. Rel. Bye, Susan.